Well, guys, I'll admit it. I'll admit it straight up right now. I was a fool. I very naively ended my last video thinking, okay, look, they can screw up more, but not to the point where it's worth making another video on. Not to the point where things don't just get 10 times worse, they get 1,000 times worse. No, they're not gonna actually do that. Well, they did. Welcome to part 2. Because in just under 12 hours after my first upload, a live stream addressing the situation managed to make some of the biggest VTubers under Nijisanji get as much hate as Nijisanji in one of the worst PR moves I've ever seen in my life. But don't worry guys, the CEO himself has apologized in an apology video that is so bad it can be compared to the ukulele girl. And believe me, I truly wish that's all that's happened in just like barely the last week since my last upload, but no, it gets way deeper than this and we're gonna look at it together. But before we do, I recommend you watch part 1 for full context, and I also wanted to let you know that this video does indeed have a fundraiser for mental health. I thought this would make more sense than a sponsor, so if you want to contribute, please feel free. If you can't, that's totally fine. Anyway, back to the video. So, the continuation of this massive circus was on February 13th at 1:34 AM Central European Time. Parce que oui, bien sûr, j'habite en France. Alira Pandora, who is one of the first ever English branch Nijisanji VTubers, tweets this out. Hi everyone, thank you for your patience during my absence. Myself and some others will be speaking about the recent situation in 30 minutes from now. Recent situation being the whole Selen Nijisanji controversy. And of course, in the most robotic and dystopian way possible, most of the English branch VTubers retweeted or quoted this tweet. Hey everybody, we have something really important to talk about. Please give us your time if you can. Or while saying things like this, important. It would mean a lot if you could take a listen. Thank you. Now, I'm not sure that every VTuber retweeting this was told what the stream was going to be about. I think they were just told, guys, don't worry. Hey, we're going to solve everything. Just retweet this. Trust me. Everything's going to be water under the bridge. So it was going to be Alira Pandora with 2 other Nijisanji English branch streamers joining her. Vox Akuma saying something robotically similar. Thank you for your patience. This situation has been incredibly hard on all of us. We're going to share as much as we can in the stream. Oh, yeah, you will. So please come and watch if you can. And of course, Ike Eveland, EK, I don't know how to spell his name, dude. Let's just say Ike to piss people off. But why those 3 in particular? Well, nothing is really random in a Japanese corporation. Everything is painfully calculated. So if you just as much fart, they want to know the exact volume and the smell. This situation is no different. Ike Eveland is almost to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's the 10th most subscribed in all of Nijisanji Global. And Vox, who's not only the biggest English branch VTuber, but also beats many of the Japanese VTubers in terms of influence, were chosen not just because they can reach the maximum amount of people, but because they can also try to sway them with having their favorite VTubers talk about the issue. But of course, the question you might be asking yourself, why is it being streamed on Alira's channel out of all of them? Why not stream it on Vox's channel that has 1.3 million subscribers? Why stream it on a channel that barely has 500,000? We can look into that later, but what matters is that at this point, people were hoping that this was going to clear things up in a good way and actually incite change internally. But this ended up doing not only the opposite effect, it ended up making this so much worse, not just for Nijisanji, but for the livers that appeared on the stream in general, especially Alira, since this was on her channel. Before we even watch this disastrous message, or whatever the hell it's meant to be, we don't even need to watch a single second for you to understand how much ill intent it harbored towards Dokibird. Remember how I said that this was tweeted at 1:30 AM Central European Time? Alira said we're going live in 30 minutes, which means they were going to go live at 2 AM Central European Time. Dokibird, on the other end, had a stream she was very excited about that she had planned since the 12th, where she would play Neopets, and she was scheduled to go live at 2 AM Central European Time as well. This means that Nijisanji took a conscious decision to go live at the same exact time that Dokibird was going live on her channel. If that's not a middle finger, if that's not ill intent, what is? Like, what is? I can already predict what Nijisanji might say if you raise this issue to them. They might say, oh, you know, this was the only time the VTubers were available. But the thing is, the biggest VTuber involved here is Vox Akuma, and he lives in the UK. And as you can see right here, it would have been 1 AM GMT. You're telling me you couldn't have found any better time for him? That already is a massive PR mistake, and we haven't even watched the video yet. So, let's do it. This live stream starts off like a funeral. It is a black screen, and people are talking in this very concerned voice, as if they're talking about someone who passed away. And as you can tell from the comments, people were very nervous about this. Someone hold me, I'm scared. If this is some type of damage control bullshit, then I'm donezo. Please God, be a real message and not PR garbage. Look, at this point, people hated the company, but they still held hope that the livers, that the VTubers themselves were okay. So everything was culminating up until this point, and this live stream had the potential to change everything for better or for worse. Now don't worry, we're not gonna watch the whole thing. We're just gonna go through some highlights. The whole thing starts off with Elira talking and setting the mood.
The time to listen to us today. Vox and Ike are also present here with me, and we would like to take some time to address the events surrounding Selen Tatsuki's contract termination.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
To preface, we have discussed with AnyColor staff and our legal team about what we are able to say. However, due to how sensitive the situation is, please do keep in mind that there are limits to what we're able to share. Both we, the livers, and the company have been affected deeply and are taking the situation very seriously. Everything that will be discussed has been approved by our lawyers or is based solely on our personal experiences.
Right, so barely a minute in, and we understand very quickly this has been pre-approved by the staff of Nijisanji with their legal team, okay? Again, goes back to my point, everything here is calculated. And if you don't believe me, look at the live stream length, a painfully accurate 15 minutes with no extra second added. Hell, I don't even think this was live, I think this was pre-recorded. In fact, it shouldn't have even been a live stream. But again, this was going on as Dokibird was playing Neopets.
I would like to first apologize if my silence on the matter has caused any worry. Over the past month, staff received documents from Selen's lawyer containing examples of her claimed experiences under AnyColor. These documents in question included personal information of some livers, and when it was sent to us, we learned that there was a potential that this information could be made public.
Barely 2 minutes have passed by, and two major things have been revealed. She's seen the legal documents that Selen has sent, and she's pretty much insinuating that she feels threatened by the information contained within, as if saying that Selen was planning to leak them. Yeah, she's right. I totally see that happening. I totally see Dokibird getting on Twitter and saying, hey guys, this is where Elira lives. Go say hi. But in general, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is going to be a pattern that will repeat in this 15-minute statement. Elira stopped talking at around 3:51 and expressed that when they heard of what Dokibird had done to herself and how she almost lost her life, they reached out and were very concerned. Then she stopped talking. Then the biggest male VTuber in Nijisanji speaks for almost 2/3 of the video. And this is where the pattern initially presented by Elira makes a comeback. This idea that Selen is mentally unstable, that she's always been off the rails, that she cannot abide by any corporate rules, and who's had many times to repent because Vox and company were trying to comfort her so many times that she ended up using all her chances. In fact, the only thing that was shown in this entire black stream was some conversations regarding Selen and the music video with her manager. Vox said that this is to provide more context on the situation. This is an image that tells a story in 6 parts, with the first part being Selen uploading her music video to be approved by management, and the last part being the tweet of Selen that started it all. In the middle, we see management saying, hi Selen, sorry for the late reply. Since this video included X-Livers, it will cost more time for me to get confirmation. The audio is okay for me. And then asking, so why this is released before I got confirmation? This video is set to private until I got confirmation. There's also a chance that you might need to readjust it before setting to public again. Also, before you post anything to explain about it, please confirm with me. And she tweeted this tweet. This is definitely a crazy form of damage control, because even though Vox is saying that this is to provide context, we're still missing a lot of it if we're going to delve deep into this. This music video has taken months, almost a year to be made from start to finish. Not to mention that it was fully funded by Selen, $15,000 out of her own pocket. And she had approval of all parties involved, including anything copyright related. We don't even know if this was the first draft. And one thing, of course, they so carefully didn't mention in the stream is that this wasn't the first time Selen was shown this kind of behavior from management. At some point, there was this public announcement that, hey, Selen cannot host any live tournaments anymore under Nijisanji, with no explanation. But even though it was tough, in Vox's own words, which became a pretty famous line from this 15-minute live stream,
leaving Nijisanji is always an option for livers. If she had wanted to graduate beforehand, she was given very many chances to do so amicably.
The scripted livestream, the huge desperation behind this damage control attempt, and him saying graduation is always an option to someone who almost graduated their soul out of their body by, almost dying, is really weird. And it comes off in poor taste. He also mentioned how he felt backstabbed because Selen recorded a part of their conversation at one point, and continues with the narrative that she actually hurt not just the company, but the talent behind the company. He even went as far to say that he was planning to graduate at some point with her in solidarity because he believed everything she said, but it turned out to him, somehow, that everything she was saying was out of context, and he now realizes this. A pretty bold accusation missing proof and context. But I want you to thoroughly focus on what he says here. Watch.
Having thoroughly reviewed the documents sent to Anycolor by her lawyer.
Guys, we thoroughly dive deep into the documents she sent, okay? Keep this in mind for later. This is going to be very important. After Vox had finished talking, it was Ike's turn. He pretty much rehashed what Illyra said, but what's most notable here is that, again, he admits that he saw what was sent by Selen's lawyer.
We always managed to get on really well. So that's why it was so shocking for me to learn that Anycolor had received these documents from Selen's lawyer. Learning about what was contained within these documents was, to me personally, incredibly saddening.
And as a gentle reminder, this was all happening as Dokibird was streaming Neopets. Initially, she tried to ignore it, but the chat kept spamming her about it. She found out what they were saying, and she was shocked by the fact that they admitted so openly that they had seen these documents. Because according to her, these were meant to stay private between her legal team and Nijisanji's legal team. This was huge. She called her lawyer and she had to make up some sort of statement. That unfortunately meant that she had to cut short her Neopets stream. And shortly after ending, she went to Twitter to post this insane nuclear warhead. This is going to be a long one, but it addresses everything that was mentioned about her in the live stream and shuts down any attempt of damage control from Nijisanji. In it, she says, "I was ready to move on. I had made my last statement and I haven't looked at anything regarding my past for a full week. I didn't look at anything regarding legal documents or anything regarding my situation since I moved back to Doki. I wanted to be hopeful for the future and never interact with that side again. So to see it all come back and reopen a wound that I was ready to heal from and to have to talk to my lawyer again on how to respond." The document mentioned was at first made to document my thoughts and history with evidence so that my lawyer can see the general picture of what was going on, and if there were issues that should be addressed. It was first made during my darkest time mentally, and I wrote everything on my mind little by little at that time. I made the document thinking that it was never going to be public to anyone but my lawyer. Although it was a document filled with my personal information as well as privacy information that should not be public, there were no other addresses or specific locations mentioned. So pretty much what Illyra and Ike were concerned about, them being doxxed, was false according to Dokibird. Regarding a recording, this was not intended to be anything other than a distribution test for planning of a collaborative event between two people, which happened to be left over from one test recording, and I never recorded any other conversations with anyone. The recording was never shown anywhere, even in a legal setting, and there are no other records. However, I regret that it was mentioned, and I'm sorry to all parties affected for the misunderstanding in this. So this is referencing Vox and how he was backstabbed by finding out that there was a recording with him in it. It seemed to have been included by mistake, and even if it wasn't, she apologized. Water under the bridge. Turns out she wasn't trying to backstab you. I requested that I just wanted to move on. Sometimes I didn't hear anything for days from the lawyers, the Nijisanji lawyers, on the other side, and felt like I'd be alone and isolated for a long time. It made it so hard for me mentally. On February 5th, my lawyer discussed and said it will be best to show the document I wrote to the other lawyers, as we have not heard from them for a week or any negotiation talks or given a meeting to discuss after my request to part. So she wanted to graduate amicably and put everything behind her, but the lawyers were pretty much ghosting her. Is there something more unprofessional than this? She sent the first document she had made to make her lawyer understand her situation, hoping that this would make Nijisanji's lawyers understand it too. Well, it was never intended to be used for anything else. I've asked my lawyer to convey that and have communication that the document as it was written wasn't going to be released anywhere. And my lawyer did so when sending the document. Less than 2 hours after my lawyer sent the document, the termination notice came out. I was very shocked. but thought that was the last time I will hear or think about the document, and that this, personally, and my own opinion, was the end of the lawyers and the legal involvement. All the communication was done between lawyers in Japanese. Things are not black and white, and everything gets more complicated and muddled when lawyers are involved in a different country. When things are conveyed to multiple parties through different degrees of communication, everything turns into different narratives and different translations. I thought it was over, and I've accepted what happened and ready to move on. Everything I post to the public about the situation was a response. If it was a month ago, it will have been different, as I was angry, but I was also very alone in my head. But it's not a month ago, and I've accepted it. I wanted it to be neutral and private, but now the whole world is involved and the public is watching every step that happens. This paragraph is not just the worst thing out of the statement, this video, or even the last video. This is probably the worst thing to come out from the entire thing. This is something that we didn't know yet, and this is our first time finding out. I'm not perfect and I have faults. I had to watch my dad cry and break down in front of me for the first time in my life last night. Despite everything that has happened, please show kindness to all parties involved. There are real people behind the monitors. One of the reasons why I wanted this to be private is that the internet can be a cruel place, and I knew this would happen the moment this type of notice drops. What I didn't reveal to anyone, and only my parents and therapist knew, was that it was not one attempt, but two, which happened a few weeks after the first. My parents found me in time after searching for me for hours before anything happened. I was in a really dark place, and I do not wish this to anyone. No one should go through what I went through. I reveal this now not for pity, but to state that no life, no matter what, should be risked for ego or winning anything. There are no winners in this. Please don't make it like high school. Treat everyone like adults and with some empathy and kindness. For those who wish to see receipts or documents or anything else hoping I will reveal them, I'm sorry, but these are the things that should be private and, if needed, between lawyers. Revealing private documents and talking about the details within will only just make things worse and more complicated as outside parties get involved and will just hurt everyone. No one deserves to be pushed over the edge. So many people have got hurt and involved even if they were innocent bystanders. In the end, I will always be here to respond, and that is the only thing I will do in public. I hope this will be the last statement I have to make. Yeah, when I said it was a nuclear warhead, I meant it. This is quite literally the definition of a bombshell. Nijisanji dehumanized Selen and treated her like a number until the very end, with their lawyers ghosting her. I mean, just imagine you send something that you wrote when you were in your most vulnerable state just to try to make them understand the situation a bit better. 2 hours later, you get terminated and you're not even notified about it. That's crazy. And we also found out that unfortunately it wasn't one attempt, but two, with the first one being done weeks before the music video fiasco even happened. Initially we thought that the music video was the final straw that broke the camel's back, but no, this, if anything, shows me that Selen had been under a toxic environment for longer than we could have thought. Because to attempt it once is one thing, but to attempt it twice in under a month, I can't even imagine. But right now, in this very moment, what people really wanted to know was, how the hell did Nijisanji manage to self-report again? This time, instead of the company, it was the VTubers saying, yo man, when we got these documents, when Nijisanji showed us these lawyer documents, man, the things we found in there were crazy. It's like, wait, wait a second. What? You weren't even meant to look at them. And so there you have it, folks. Another attempt at damage control gone extremely wrong. I think this might be the most disliked video in not just Nijisanji history, but VTuber history. But it's okay, guys, because as Alira said, she volunteered to use her channel as a platform.
After discussion with the members of Nijisanji EN as a collective, I volunteered for my channel to be used for this stream.
But little did she know, she was being used as a human meat shield for her corporation. She was going to dox us. Doki. It was only meant for lawyers to see, no one else. Shaking my head, they tried though. Immediately after this, Nijisanji had to deploy damage control for their failed damage control. And yeah, before you say anything, it did get community noted, as all their posts are these days, regarding concerns that have arisen in relation to the current situation. Who's running this? Who? Because I bet you an intern would do a better job at this point. So they pretty much say, in order to check the validity of Selen and her lawyer's claim, Any Color Inc. shared only necessary parts of the information sent by her lawyer with our livers and led to an internal investigation. They double down and say that they have not made any confidentiality violations regarding submitted documents for legal claims such as these. However, regarding the specific information and documents which Selen's lawyer requested that we do not share with our livers, with utmost consideration of this request, Any Color has not shared any such information. That's weird, because according to Vox, he thoroughly checked the documents sent by Selen's lawyer.
Having thoroughly reviewed the documents sent to Any Color by her lawyer.
In addition, our livers are not held to any confidentiality obligation regarding the information shared to them from Any Color. Thus, there are no legal issues regarding the information shared to the public in the stream made by our livers. This doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? The confidentiality obligation wasn't made towards them anyway. They weren't meant to see it. After a rigorous legal check, Any Color hereby declares that it has not made any confidentiality violations while checking the validity of claims made by Selen and her lawyer with its affiliated livers. Community note: the liver in question, Selen, on her new account as Dokibird, has confirmed that she was promised the information would only be shown to lawyers as it was an HR complaint. Sharing this information without consent may be a violation of PIPEDA, as Dokibird is Canadian. This notice did anything but clear things up. Again, they made it worse. They made it way worse. Now, this post was made at 5:16 Central European Time, February 13th, right? Not even 19 minutes afterwards, they posted the CEO of Any Color addressing the concerns personally. And you'd think, oh man, the CEO stepping up. Damn, okay, maybe this will actually improve things. No, you're not thinking that, right? At this point, you can't be. This long bow was used for memes. I'll show you later. I died laughing.
In the notice, we unfortunately used the expression negligible to describe performance impact. I deeply regret this outcome and will be rethinking how our communication in English is done. Without a doubt, Selen was integral to the growth of Nijisanji EN.
Yeah, that much is clear, especially with how you terminated her without her even knowing. Yeah, definitely. Actions speak louder than words. That's why this entire video kind of means nothing, especially since around 3 or 4 hours ago, before this was even published, the live stream of Vox, Alira, and Ike took place, which invalidates everything he's apologizing for, by the way. The effect of this video on your reputation will be negligible. This is the meme I was talking about. Riku giving the investors the sloppiest toppy of their lives. Nah, I can't. Good night. Addressing your concerns. Can someone explain this video in League of Legends terms? I'm too lazy to watch. Team Gold advantage. Minus 10k. Now yes, the memes are hilarious, and they're even being used to troll a dumbass hashtag called positive spam for Niji-en created by Niji fanatics trying to flood Nijisanji with positive comments. Now the whole hashtag is just trolls, which is great. But you see, the main reason why the apology of the CEO means nothing is because this is a classic case of apologize only when you get caught. The stream with Alira, Vox, and Ike was just a beefed up version of a classic thing that Nijisanji always do when they want to get rid of a VTuber they deem problematic. Except this was the first time where they got caught. Just last year, they had done the same exact thing to a VTuber under Nijisanji EN called Zion. Zion was going through something terrible, which is a stealth suspension, where she has to tell the public that she's quote-unquote taking a break, when in reality Nijisanji wanted to suspend her just under the radar. During that time, she was also being doxxed. Nijisanji did nothing about it, and the fans had no idea she was being threatened constantly. She had spoken up about how much of a dark company this is, about how terrible the working conditions are, and Nijisanji successfully turned and swayed public opinion on her. She got so much hate over this, and the termination made her look like a bad person. This is exactly what they were trying to do with that stream on Selen, except thankfully this time, the public knew better. But now people are waking up. Apologize to her, now. Zion did nothing wrong. She was the first martyr and you all hated her because she spoke the truth. She told you Nijisanji was evil, she told you Any Color was black, and you didn't believe her because you ate Tazumi's shit right up. Tazumi being Riku Tazumi, the sloppy toppy CEO of Nijisanji. She had written a huge document after her termination that I recommend you read that really goes in detail about how crazy working under Nijisanji is. I mean, look at this. She had to take down a stream because she had made a joke, these nuts, because Nijisanji, in their eyes, this meant that she was almost insinuating that she was sponsored by a company called These Nuts. Can you believe this? Like, can you believe how crazy this is? She had to private the stream because of a dumb joke. So I'm going to take it a step further. This is Zion's alt account. This is her new persona. Go support her definitely if you're supporting Doki, because she went through what Doki went through, except she had to go through it all alone. So with all that being said, what are the main consequences for Nijisanji right now? Well, other than them successfully running down their reputation to the point where it went underground and is racing to the Earth's core, their main competitor, Cover, who runs Hololive by comparison, is being praised by people for actually treating their talent like human beings. And while yes, there's a lot of criticism and memes to be found about Nijisanji and how bad of a company they are, they also, as I mentioned in my last video, lost some stock price. But it's nothing really enough to bring down the whole company and make them go bankrupt or anything. They're probably going to recover in the next few weeks. The 3 VTubers who tried to run a smear campaign on Selen are going to be just fine within the next few weeks because their fan bases are huge and things will die down as they always do. So is Nijisanji gonna walk away scot-free from this without any real consequence? No, because here's the thing, they lost way more than $152 million in terms of public image. VTubing, as big as it is right now, is still considered quite niche. The mainstream still doesn't participate in it, much less knows about it. As a VTuber corporation, one of your biggest interests is to reach these mainstream people because that's how you'll ultimately really grow as a company. Now, what's really interesting about this whole controversy is that unlike others, this was picked up by some very mainstream personalities. Anyone from Moist Critical to ordinary gamers to people who don't even have anything to do with VTubing reacting to it. Like for example, Patters, who's literally a Pokemon YouTuber. I can't tell you the amount of people I saw in my first video saying, I know nothing about VTubers, I clicked on this video anyway, I'm gonna support Doki, Nijisanji. So the real consequence here is the fact that so many people are finding out about VTubing with the idea of, oh, Nijisanji's bad, avoid them, watch anyone else. But this doesn't mean that Nijisanji doesn't have its defenders, sometimes even reaching the mainstream. There was this huge thread posted on Twitter of why Selen is actually the enemy here, and not only did it get community noted, after getting community noted, it got deleted, so great look. You definitely made your point there. But what's crazy here is that we saw our first mainstream Nijisanji defender, the streamer 39daf. In her offline chat, she went on this tirade saying that people were stupid for supporting Selen and that things weren't as simple as they seem. Now, she has participated in streams with Nijisanji talent before, so maybe she might be a bit biased, who knows? Regardless, when people found out about her statements, they made sure to call her out on Twitter. Repeatedly, more than once, quite a bit of times actually. I'm not gonna go over every single message she typed, but Fallside made a video where he pretty much went through everything she said and countered her arguments pretty well, so if you want to check that out, I recommend his video. There's also a lawyer that goes by the name of Legal Mindset that went through the entire case himself, watched the video of the 3 VTubers, and pretty much gave his opinion. It was pretty entertaining and he made some really good points. I recommend checking that out too if you want to know more about the legal point of view for this controversy.
In my opinion, I do not think that it was a form of harassment.
Harassment is not an opinion, it's a legal analysis. There are things that legally constitute harassment. Like you're, as a friend, I don't feel this is harassment. Go f*** yourself. It's a legal analysis.
To conclude this 2-part series, Nijisanji has screwed up big time because this time they got caught. This isn't the first time they pull something like this. This is the only time that people actually saw what they were doing. It was so bad that it reached the mainstream, and that's their biggest problem right now. Of course, this all plays into a bigger problem, which is Japanese work culture and how dystopian it is. But the fact that it's reaching the West too, this is concerning. Dokibird has expressed the fact that she wants to move on, so I'm going to respect that, and this will be the last video on this topic that I'm going to make. Look, she seems to be doing well. She just did a fundraiser for mental health, and man, she raised so much money. She inspired the hell out of me to do the same thing on this video with a bit more of a conservative amount to help people out as much as we can. But honestly, as long as you treat people with respect and know that you are worth so much no matter what, that is what I want you to get from this video and this entire situation. I always talk about crazy situations. This topic was a bit more serious, but I'm glad to have been able to spread awareness about it anyway. I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Mwah.